Ms. Bailey, you're now recognized for 5 minutes to give your oral remarks.
Chair Davidson, Ranking Member Cleaver, Ranking Member Waters, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I am Nikitra Bailey, Executive Vice President of the National Fair Housing Alliance. NFHA leads the fair housing movement throughout the United States, representing over 170 local fair housing enforcement agencies. NFHA's members serve on the front lines combating millions of incidents of housing discrimination. The nation is faced with a fair and affordable housing crisis that is squeezing the budgets of everyday people, particularly consumers of color. Low housing inventory, record competition from corporate investors, exclusionary zoning ordinances, high interest rates, and more are all driving up prices. The Federal Reserve Board does not have the tools to address these housing challenges. While the Federal Reserve attempted several deflationary efforts, housing costs continue to skyrocket. And Federal Reserve Chair Powell recently stated progress on lowering inflation is not assured. Further, data shows housing will continue to be a major driver of inflation, and its impact will not subside until the end of 2024 and beyond. Thus, Congress and the Biden administration must act quickly to make equitable housing investments that promote financial inclusion and stimulate economic growth for everyone. Homeownership has long been the primary way that most families build wealth and achieve economic stability. However, thousands of race-conscious housing, banking, and other policies created systems and structures that were highly inequitable and mostly to the benefit of white Americans. Even after passage of the Fair Housing Act in '68 and Equal Credit Opportunity Act in '74, policies of the federal government and private actors continue to perpetuate segregation and discrimination. Explicitly race-based policies were replaced with subtler race-neutral methods of excluding people of color. These policies and practices created today's persistent and growing racial homeownership and wealth gaps, where white homeownership and its rate is nearly 67% higher than the Black homeownership rate, 45% higher than the Latino homeownership rate, and 20% higher than the rate for Asian American communities. Mortgage discrimination is not a relic of the past. The Department of Justice's recent record settlements totaling more than $100 million in redlining cases in Black and Latino neighborhoods nationwide is a stark reminder that redlining persists and underscores the importance of using all of the tools at our disposal to root it out. Even technological homeownership decisions perpetuate bias. Researchers at UC Berkeley found that algorithmic systems overcharge Black and Latino mortgage borrowers $765 million annually, and automated valuation models perpetuate discrimination against homeowners of color. People of color continue to share stories of having to whitewash their homes to receive fair and accurate appraisals. Can you imagine having to remove your personhood from your home, which is also the family's largest asset? In 2021, homes in white neighborhoods were appraised at values nearly 250% higher than homes in similar Black neighborhoods, and values nearly 278% higher than similar homes in similar Latino neighborhoods within the same metropolitan areas, depriving households of color of opportunities to build wealth. Overall, white communities have access to over $15 trillion more in capital because of racialized appraisal practices. There are solutions that are already working in forward-thinking states like Minnesota, Maine, Vermont, and others. Congress can follow their lead and remove barriers that stymie progress and center housing as the path to restorative justice and inclusive growth. The Homeowner Assistance Fund is an example of Congress doing just that by helping over 400,000 hardest-hit homeowners remain housed during the COVID pandemic. Half, along with sensible mortgage servicing reforms supported broadly by the housing sector, were instrumental in thwarting another foreclosure crisis like the one that occurred in 2008. Further, inclusive policies like the Equal Credit Opportunity Act special purpose credit programs helped to increase Black homeownership by 13% and Latino homeownership rates by 7% between 2019 and 2023. We actually partnered with our colleagues at MBA to create a special purpose credit program toolkit to assist lenders with properly developing programs. All future net household growth will be from households of color, and white homeownership is set to decline. With housing accounting for nearly 20% of the United States GDP, Congress must advance inclusive policies so that the housing market and economy are not jeopardized. My written testimony details other solutions, and I look forward to discussing them with you. Thank you.